Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be talking about episode 6 of Critical Role Campaign 3. And yeah, it was a fun episode. There was no combat, which I can't tell if I prefer more or not. You'd think after watching 2 full campaigns, I'd be like, oh, I really like it when they don't fight, or I really like it when they fight. I don't know. I think it really depends on the combat for me. So this episode was good, regardless of no combat. And this episode weirdly felt like they were attempting to do a lot but didn't accomplish anything, or they were just starting to get something going. Nothing got accomplished in this episode outside of learning about a few things that the players or about the characters. So let's just get right into the recap. I'll talk more about my feelings about the episode later. First off, they go back to the Spire by Fire and they get shots, and at first I titled the game they were playing as Truth or Drink, but it seems that's not the rules. You have to drink no matter what you do. And then they decided to call it What the Fuck Is Up With That? And I really enjoy that. And we got a bunch of good insight to character stuff. And yeah, Talzin did a good job of getting this, getting to learn more about the characters underway in what felt like a very natural, I want to say teenager at a party type of way. That's something you would do when you're younger at a party or something, like with a group of your friends and you want to get little dirty secrets. They all asked interesting questions. A few things we already knew. But before that, I just want to say that, again, I think Marisha's RP is fucking fantastic. She is great. Also, Imogen wanted to go to a place with less people because of her mind reading ability, which doesn't seem to be up to her whether it's being used or not, which is interesting to me. So, good questions get asked all over the place. I think there was 2 for me that was like the most important, and that was Laudna. She explained a bit more about where she's from and how she died from some sort of necromantic blast from the Briarwoods, and that to me kills a theory that I heard about Laudna, that she was one of the Durolos and that she hated the Durolos because she was so low on the totem pole or something. But she was saying that she was a farmer on the outside of Whitestone with her parents. She got hit by some sort of necromancy blast and woke up later, and that she hears one of the Briarwoods in her head. And we'll get to more about that later. And then Orem asks FCG, just in general, a bit more about where he came from, what his family's like, and sort of that kind of stuff. And he can't physically talk about it. He was struggling. He didn't have the information, or there's something blocking him, which to me was very interesting. And we learned that he's only 2 years old. Oh, and he doesn't dream, which sucks. During all this, Laudna collected a bunch of chicken bones, which was gross, because at the end, she fucking gives it to Dorian and like attaches Bertrand's hand to make it like a Bertrand doll. That's fucking nasty. Again, Laudna is my favorite character so far this campaign, and she's proving every second why. So after that, I in my notes here I put down she went from town to town running from people because she was undead, and in brackets I put she's an undead Nico Robin, which I thought was pretty clever. Probably not. After that, Dorian plays a song and Imogen tries to feel his feelings, and we don't necessarily get an answer to it until a little bit later, which is he was somewhat thinking about his family, I believe it was. It was either his family or specifically his mother. Before they all go to bed, FCG wants to dream. So he keeps telling himself, dream, 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 kind of like that Shark Boy and Lava Girl song. If you know what it is, you know what it is. After that, Laudna hears a voice of the Briarwood in her head. And they keep saying, like, Imogen and her wake up and talk about it. And they kept saying she over and over again, implying that it was Delilah Briarwood. I just finished watching campaign 1 like not long ago, and I swear to God, that was Matt's Vecna voice. That did not sound like Delilah to me at all. That sounded like Vecna, which Delilah got most of her power from Vecna. So, yeah, I don't know. To me, that just sounded like a Vecna voice. So, my theories about who this patron she has is pointing toward Vecna. At first, I thought her connection to the Derolos would mean it was potentially like Orthax, which I believe was the name of Percy's devil or demon inside of him when he was making the guns. So, yeah. At this point, they all get up, and Imogen's kind of selfish about what she wants the name to be on the contract because she wants to use this contract to get into the Institute that her and Laudna have been trying to get into from day one. FCG did not dream, but he felt good going to sleep with a goal in his mind. They talk about what to do next. They decide to go to the Hunback Corsairs because they like me saying the word wrong, apparently. They try to find the Shadow Baker. They can't. Imogen tries not to read minds or read feelings 24/7, but she can find it difficult sometimes. They finally get to their hideout, where it's revealed that Yaj has a very good skin routine. They inform him that Duggar is dead. Learn a bit about the Brimstone trade in the Spire City, which name is escaping me right now. They also learn that the Corsairs were following them basically the whole time, and that with this information about Duggar being dead, likely nothing will happen to the collateral that the party gave them. They then inform Yash about Esteros, and Yash thinks that Esteros killed his former employer. We also learn that he never leaves his house and only sends out sellswords, which is exactly what he's doing with this current group, who I'm going to call the Bell Ends for now because that's hilarious to me. And he also thinks that, or some people think, Esteros is a vampire. And yeah, we basically learn like the overall goal is for the Corsairs to basically expose rich people for being dicks. You know, like they want them to no longer be rich and they want to take their money away from them and expose them. And if Esteros has anybody that are in their sights that the Corsairs are going after, he will also end up on their bad side, which means that the party could end up on the bad side. They leave, and they fill FCG with a bunch of coffee, which I felt very important to write down last night while I was watching this. Yeah, they left basically. The only thing they left with when they left with the Corsairs was potential setup for Esteros and them to get together, and them kind of having allies who could turn on them basically at any moment if the wrong thing happens. This is where they come up with the idea of wanting to have Bell in the name of their group. And like I said earlier, I'm just going to call them the Bell Ends because I'm hilarious. After that, they go looking for the Shadow Baker again. They can't find him. At this point, they start talking about Oshad, Beshiro. I forget. I couldn't quite get the name. But the Anger, who is Orum's target, who he's coming here to look for. They learned that he wasn't necessarily big on bar fights and that his reputation kind of disappeared a couple of years ago. It was a bit before all of the party members like times like being adventurers, like their time a little bit, that time in between being normal people and now. So he kind of disappeared before that. They decide they're going to go look for more information on him because they have nothing else to do. And they go to the Crook House where they meet Ashton's friend Annie. Or sorry, this will be the second time I think they meet Annie. But she doesn't really have anything on him except for maybe that he's with the Luma twins. Or Lumas twins, I think. They plan to use Dorian's lordship or dukedom or whatever the hell it's called. He hasn't been very clear about what his riches are and his connection to nobility is. Dorian and Annie, I couldn't quite hear. Everyone's got different accents. Dorian has a jam off against Annie, which is very similar to, like, I got very similar vibes to Scanlan versus Kaylee, his daughter, when they first met and had their little jam off. And Robbie rolls 2 natural 20s on advantage, which is crazy. And if I was a DM, that would have been it. He won. Simple as that. But using it, he actually gives her a solo, and it makes her mess up a little bit. And then, they go back and forth. Dorian gets his own solo and kind of kills it, and she snaps one of her strings. Someone says, "Annie, are you okay?" Because they're all fucking hilarious with their song references. And then she storms off, but before she storms off completely, tells Ashton there's something in his room, which has a letter inside of it with a familiar wax seal. After reading it, he is visibly shook, and they go to a weird bird man in this, I don't think the Crook House is the name of the whole place, just their house. But right near the Crook House, they go meet this bird man named Effid, and he lives in an upside down nest, like in the middle of this spire. The only person creepier than Marisha in this campaign so far is her husband, Matt. Like, this bird was creepy. Matt played it really well. Of course he did. Ashton asks about Brimstone, doesn't really get much out of him for it. And something I noticed is this Effid guy calls Ashton the cracked one, which seems kind of strange. It makes me wonder if he actually gives a damn about the injury he has on his head, or even if it's a major thing for him at all. It's just kind of something he's been used to for now, and he's okay with it. Ashton gives Effid 50 gold for his services, and then they learn for sure that the anger works for the twins before things turned to shit. Which we learn a bit more about this shit later. So now they go after the Lumos twins, which is where they finally go to Esteros to ask him, Esteros, that was right, where they ask for a connection, but he says that that connection's probably not going to happen because they're both dead. And there seems to be some sort of mystery about a very bad attack that, wouldn't have been able to get past the anger normally. He is their bodyguard, and somehow this attack appeared and messed everything up. So eventually, they leave. What is wrong with my notes right now? Oh, no, eventually they get a little bit more things to do. Matt gives them an extra side quest, which is to look into the disappearances around I believe it was called the Dreamscape Theater. I don't know what it was. There's something about some of the characters' accents that was messing with the way I heard words tonight and every other friggin' night. But 4 people have gone missing, and they were to meet a person named Etrio. The guards came up short with info on missing people and doesn't have anything else for them to do, so they kind of go off. Imogen asks a bit about the letter to the Institute, and I think he's still kind of setting it up, which is what I gathered from it, because they didn't immediately go right there for her. They also ask him to help name them, and he doesn't really give them all that much. FCG throws up a bit of the coffee, which is still grossly warm. So then Laudna and Imogen take them to Shidana's house so they can talk privately about the attack, because Orym knows a bit more than he's letting on. Shidana fucking loves FCG. We learned that they attempt to get information from her because her husband used to work for the warden, but she doesn't know much about the anger. Fern steals a straw, and eventually Orym opens up about this attack that also a very similar attack happened in Zephyra, where the attack happened a few years ago, and it came and went super quick, and it seemed to be some sort of failed attack, and the attackers melted. He eventually recently learned more that a friend from Whitestone, a friend of Kiki's, I'm assuming it could be Percy or Vex, heard from a friend that talked to the Anger, which could be Scanlan, because Scanlan's the meat man over here in Marquette, so very easily could have been him, because he's a sellsword. And that the attack that happened on the Loomis twins was almost identical to the one that happened in Zephyra. So he was sent, Orm specifically, and Dorian and Fern were sent to look into this attack more. We learned that the attack that happened in Zephyra targeted Keyleth, like almost verbatim, that was almost verbatim what was said, that she was the leader was targeted. And they try to connect Duggar to it, but the way he melted and died is a little different to how Orm described them dying, the attackers. So they rule out that Duggar might be involved in it. Then they decide they're going to just say, screw everything else for now. We're going to go to the theater and kind of wait for us to be able to talk to the Anger. They start looking for information on the missing people. Dorian kind of uses 10 platinum, which I believe he got in EXU, to get them seats, to get them like inside because the guy was being difficult. FCG straight up asks about the missing people, which everybody was like, hey man, like relax. It's the wrong time to ask about that kind of shit. Fern steals back 6 platinum, because of course she does. I don't know how friggin' Wildfire Druid is pulling off this much theft without getting caught. She's just really lucky. They get a box room, which I'm a former worker at a sporting center, and the box rooms are way nicer than any floor seat you could ever get. So if you're ever going for a sporting event or some other sort of event at a sporting facility, or even like some sort of a concert, get a box room. They're sick. Ashton, again, starts asking for the missing people, but gets a very similar response, like, hey, we're not talking about that right now. After a while of waiting, the Dragonborn that took them to their seats comes back and says someone's looking to talk to Dorian. Dorian opens up about seeing potential corsairs following them earlier. He leaves to go check it out who wants to talk to him, and a man named Cyrus Wyberwind is the person that wanted to see him, and it is revealed that that is Dorian's brother. The two talk about why they're both there, what they're both doing, why he isn't with Mother. And then Dorian goes back to the box, plays it off with the rest of the party, and then Dorian is left in his thoughts thinking about what the hell is his brother doing here. And what the fuck is up with that? So yeah, that was the end of the episode. And again, like I said earlier, no combat took place, which was different. It was a nice pace. I believe the last episode was where they killed Duggar. I can't quite remember. It's been 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure they killed Duggar last episode. So that was a big combat encounter. Maybe it wasn't the last episode. I don't remember. But they had a big fight not too long ago in game. So for them to take this time off to kind of, get their bearings, figure out why they're still going to be working together as a team. And it's nice that they're not just all like, okay, well, we dealt with this thing, now we're all going to fuck off. They're trying to figure out what to do next as a group instead of as individuals, which was something I was actually very worried about with some of these characters. Because a character like Ashton and FCG being kind of attached to him, I felt like he could easily just leave. He could be like, fuck it, whatever. And I felt Orm would be like, this isn't pushing me forward any, so we're going to leave, I thought these people would easily split apart, but luckily they've decided to stick together and work as a team. I don't feel like this group has quite melded as fast as the Mighty Nine did. I felt the Mighty Nine kind of grew attached to each other really quick, partially through Jester being that kind of person who's not going to leave you alone, and mainly to Caleb, but there hasn't been much of that yet, in my opinion. Like, I can still, in my opinion, separate each of them into their groups and kind of be like, okay, we can have 3 separate adventures here. And I'm glad nothing like that's happened, but I feel like it could at any moment one of them be like, we're peacing out. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. Honestly, I don't. But the other thing is, Robbie, like, this episode left me with the idea of, because up to this point I was like, Robbie's just a guest. He's not going to be there for a while. I think they're testing the waters with him actually staying. Up until this point I was like, nah, he's got to leave after a while. Matt likes having 7 players. But something that happened before the game started with the sponsorship was the Nordoverse, where they had Robbie be very connected to it. And I know that has nothing to do with anything, and I'm definitely reading into it a bit much, but what if they don't get sponsored by them for months, right? And, like, that's probably not going to happen. But just say, like, Robbie's not there, and then all of a sudden they have to pull him back for one of these ads because that's the story of the Nordoverse. And I think saying that out loud sounds fucking stupid, but it makes me think that they have plans for him being there for a while. Like, hey, he's going to be part of the Nordoverse now, and eventually be, you know, fully accepted as a member of the cast, which I think, if I read my comments every day like I do, will be tremendously accepted by fans. Every single time I brought up this whole idea of him staying or not, people have been like, fuck it, I want him to stay, he's been great, and I agree. So then the other part of that is Travis still isn't back yet, which is astonishing. And something I noticed that was a little different from last time was during one of the last episodes, he tweeted out he would in fact not be at the table returning yet. And I didn't see that tweet this episode, which made me think he was coming back this episode. But then he didn't. So I have no idea what's happening with Travis. Obviously he's returning, and I don't know if Matt's like trying to point them in a certain direction, because I don't get that feeling from him, like, hey, go here so you can meet Travis. You know, like, and Travis is there at the beginning of every ad read. He is there. He's probably watching, waiting, or maybe he's just sitting there supporting, waiting, because he's definitely coming back. We know this for a fact. If you read Matt's and Travis's tweets, they're both coming. They're both coming back. He's coming back with whatever his next character is, and I'm excited for this. I think this was a good episode to set up a lot of plot lines down the road. And to go back to Travis, a part of me is starting to think and agree with some of my viewers who have said it a handful of times. I think Travis is the person Orm is looking for. And then once they feel they're in a good spot for a wrench to be thrown in, Matt and Travis will plan for them to be able to meet the anger, and bam, there's Travis. So, you know, it seems like it'd be right up the alley, and it would be a similar character to Bertrand, because this anger character is obviously a little older. Maybe not terribly older, and probably not anywhere, you know, not older than Laudna. I would imagine he's, you know, if you were to put everyone from the group except Laudna in their 20s, which they all seem to be, except FCG, who's 2, but that's not the important part. I would picture him, Travis's next character, to probably be more in his 40s. You know, like late 40s, mid 40s area. Because the anger seems to still be a character who can tango. He's a guard. He's a bodyguard for the twins right now. Or was the bodyguard for the twins. So now that he doesn't have a purpose because the twins are dead, him joining the party and it being Travis's character seems incredibly likely to me. So just a little bit of thought there. Yeah, I guess that's it for me talking about this episode. So yeah, that's it for the episode. I didn't upload on Tuesday this week, and there's a reason. I got trapped in the US. I live in Canada, and I went over to see some family, and then we did a test because we weren't going to be there for more than 72 hours, so we needed a COVID test. Mine didn't come back until the Wednesday. We got them on Sunday, and Wednesday was the cutoff day, so we didn't get them back until that day. So we were kind of scrambling, We wanted to be back Tuesday night, and then we didn't get back Tuesday night. We got back Wednesday afternoon, which was fine. But we missed an important piece of information. So now I'm technically on a 2-week lockdown, which sucks. But I'm going to be making a shit ton of videos. So I won't be missing any more Tuesdays. And I might even throw some more videos out during a week, like on a Sunday. Potentially if I feel like this video is good to go. So I'm never going to miss a Tuesday again for the next couple of weeks. So I have 2 weeks, well, 10 days now. It's been a few days. No. 12 days now. My math is terrible, as you can tell. To make a ton of videos, and I'm going to do that. So if you're looking forward to a Tuesday video, sorry, but you're going to get more. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. My why does everyone hate, and this is the last time I'm bringing it up, my why does everyone hate on the EXU characters in Campaign 3 video is at like 46k, which is stupid. I don't understand why it's this high up in views, and I'm incredibly honored to have a video that high up in views. I never ever would imagine that in my wildest dreams, and that is just amazing to me. So thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all for subscribing and sticking around. If you are, like I've said it a billion times, this is just the beginning, and yeah, we're going up and up from here. So peace out. See you on Tuesday.